We often experience a paralyzing fear of having to say no, drawing a line between our own needs and the demands of those around us. This fear can be deeply rooted in our desire for belonging, our wish to avoid conflict, and our apprehension of losing someone's favor. But at what cost?
Imagine a garden without a fence. On the one hand, it might seem like anyone can freely wander in and enjoy the flowers. On the other, delicate seedlings could be trampled, beloved plants uprooted, and tending the garden would become a never-ending battle against the will of others. It's the same with our personal boundaries. We're often afraid to set them, worried about causing displeasure, appearing selfish, or losing someone's love. But this fear can lead to far greater losses. Now, picture not just a garden, but an entire ecosystem of your life. Within it are the fragile blossoms of your desires, the mighty trees of your values, and the fertile ground of your time and energy. If this ecosystem lacks clear boundaries, it becomes vulnerable to external forces. On the one hand, wide open gates might seem like a symbol of openness and goodwill. But what if, under the guise of friendliness, those enter who are ready to trample your dreams, seize your resources, and disrupt the delicate balance of your inner world? That's precisely why setting personal boundaries isn't an act of selfishness, but a fundamental necessity for preserving the integrity and flourishing of your inner ecosystem.
From childhood, we may be taught to be good, agreeable, and obedient, which often implies ignoring our own needs to satisfy others. However, such constant compliance ultimately leads to the depletion of our resources and a deep sense of dissatisfaction. Let's delve deeper into the risk-benefit analysis of establishing and not establishing personal boundaries. To see the consequences of our choices more clearly, we will explore this complex game of boundaries, to set or not to set.
It's reasonable to expect that initially you will face dissatisfaction, resentment, and anger from those around you. People who are accustomed to your unfailing compliance may perceive the setting of boundaries as a personal offense or betrayal. They might express their displeasure through passive aggression, reproaches, manipulation, or even open hostility. This can be particularly challenging with close individuals where emotional bonds are strong and expectations are deeply ingrained. Potential for conflicts, the need to defend your position. Setting boundaries often requires direct and honest conversations that can be uncomfortable and lead to disagreements. You will need to learn to convey your position firmly but respectfully, without succumbing to manipulation and pressure.
Well, there's a chance you'll experience feelings of guilt or anxiety. Social norms often encourage altruism and helping others, so saying no can trigger internal discomfort, guilt for not being kind enough, or worry about the consequences of your no. You might even face temporary alienation. Some people whose relationships with you were based solely on your compliance may distance themselves, feeling they can no longer exploit you for their own purposes. But perhaps that's for the best.
In the long run, you might lose some superficial relationships. Most often, the connections that were maintained solely by your willingness to sacrifice yourself will fade away. This can be painful, but it will free up space for healthier and more equitable relationships. Potential decrease in popularity in certain circles. If your unfailing compliance was key to acceptance within a particular group, setting boundaries might lead to a certain decline in your popularity among those who valued you solely for that trait.
But beyond the short-term losses, there are also benefits. For example, a feeling of control over your life and time. You will stop being a reactive player in other people's scenarios and will be able to determine your own schedule and priorities. Most likely, your stress levels will decrease. Freedom from excessive obligations and the expectations of others will significantly reduce your emotional burden. And you will also have time and energy for your own needs and goals. You will be able to invest your resources in what is truly important to you. Hobbies, self-development, relationships with loved ones, rest. And of course, an increase in self-esteem and self-respect. Standing up for your boundaries strengthens your self-worth and shows others that you value yourself and your time.
In reality, the benefits of personal boundaries far outweigh the losses. Firstly, the strengthening of healthy and equitable relationships. Relationships built on mutual respect for boundaries become stronger, more honest, and more fulfilling. Also, the preservation of emotional and physical resources. Preventing burnout will allow you to remain energetic and cheerful in the long term. The freed up resources will enable you to move towards your dreams and ambitions. Increase self-esteem and self-confidence. Regularly asserting your boundaries builds inner strength and confidence, building a reputation as someone who values their time and opinion. Those around you will begin to perceive you as a person with clear principles and respect your decisions.
But beyond the short-term losses, there are also benefits. For example, a feeling of control over your life and time. You will stop being a reactive player in other people's scenarios and will be able to determine your own schedule and priorities. Most likely, your stress levels will decrease. Freedom from excessive obligations and the expectations of others will significantly reduce your emotional burden. And you will also have time and energy for your own needs and goals. You will be able to invest your resources in what is truly important to you. Hobbies, self-development, relationships with loved ones, rest. Of course, an increase in self-esteem and self-respect. Standing up for your boundaries strengthens your self-worth and shows others that you value yourself and your time. Is it worth considering the benefits of having no personal boundaries? Avoiding immediate conflict or displeasure might seem like the easiest path in the moment, but it often leads to much bigger problems in the future. Maintaining the illusion of being a good person and potentially receiving temporary praise or approval. The desire to please everyone can be strong, but it shouldn't come at the expense of your well-being. However, the image of a people pleaser isn't so great. Those around you will quickly realize that you are easily manipulated and will take advantage of it. It turns out that the short-term benefits are just temporary relief, inevitably followed by a reckoning in the form of resource depletion, declining health, and damaged relationships. Maintaining some superficial connections at the cost of your own unhappiness can hardly be called a benefit. Below the video, you will find a link to an online psychological session designed to help you understand and establish your personal boundary. The fear of setting boundaries is often a fear of facing others' disapproval and experiencing discomfort. But true courage lies in putting your well-being first. Healthy boundaries are not the wall, but rather a flexible yet clear fence that allows you to control what enters your personal space and how you interact with the outside world. By setting boundaries, you are not pushing people away, but inviting them into a more respectful and mature interaction. Allow yourself to create a healthy ecosystem for your life, where your own flowers can grow and flourish, protected by clear and reasonable boundaries.